Welcome to another edition of the More You Know Co. podcast that's all about the people and places of Northern Colorado. Today we have Juliana on the show with Canine Candy Biscuits and a promo code to get a discount on some gourmet dog biscuits. All right, well, welcome to today's podcast. Today we are talking to Juliana with Canine Candy Biscuits. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in dog biscuits.
So actually, every time you go to your local pet store, Pooter Pet and Feed, there's always 100 different...
At least.
Yeah, there's 100 different treats on the shelves, and every time you look at the back of one of them, you don't know how to pronounce half the ingredients.
Yeah, I don't know which ones are good or bad, or, you look at it, it's like, I have no idea what any of these things are. It looks cheap. It must be cheap. I'm not buying it.
Well, yeah, and then, again, you can't pronounce half of it. So it's like, if you wouldn't eat it, why would you feed it to your dog? So, also, costs an arm and a leg if you do want to buy the kind of good stuff, right? So, I worked at a brewery at the time and did a little bit of research into spent grains and found out that they were great for your dog. So, did a little experimenting with some of my ingredients in my kitchen and came up with Canine Candy Biscuits.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, there's only 4 ingredients in every bag.
Really?
So spent grains from the brewing process, organic coconut flour, the flavoring, and eggs. That's it.
Wow. Wow, that's not a whole lot compared to what you normally see on the back of those, which is, everything under the sun.
It takes
and of course,
up
most of the
half
time, you don't even know what it is. It's like there's meat. What kind of meat?
Yeah.
Meat's pretty broad, I don't know what's in this.
Well, and byproducts. How many times have you seen that on the back?
Yeah, we don't even want
or...
to know what a byproduct is. At least, hey, spent grains are a byproduct of the brewing process. But
you're right.
You don't say this has byproducts in it.
Totally.
Because we like spent grains. That sounds good.
Well, and totally. And on top of it, spent grains, what's great about them is because they're used in the brewing process, all of those hard-to-digest carbs and complex sugars are taken out to make your beer.
Right.
So really, all that's left over is the protein, the nutrition, those essential amino acids that your dog needs in order to get those healthy muscle groups back and those kind of things. So it's actually a really cool product.
That is cool. And being in the business of dog biscuits, you have a dog, which I have met, which is awesome, named Titan. With that name, I'm assuming it's a small little Chihuahua or something along that line, no? He's
actually a 150-pound St. Bernard.
St. Bernard, not a Chihuahua. A 150-pound Chihuahua would be...
That would be terrifying,
that would be very scary.
I would be terrified.
So St. Bernard,
150 pounds.
150 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow. So Titan pretty much just does whatever Titan wants to do.
100%. He actually, we have a king-size bed, me and my boyfriend, and he gets mad at night because we get half the bed and Titan gets half the bed. So, yeah, Titan does whatever, and if, I can't pick him up either, so he's gonna, he knows it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. You definitely get to know that pretty fast when you were that size, that if you wanted to lay here, this is now your spot.
Exactly.
Yep, there's not going to be anything along that line. You mentioned a couple reasons why you use spent grains and where you get those from. What are some other reasons, and where actually, what do you get grains from different breweries, or?
Yeah, I try to. So I do try to get the grains from the breweries I sell in. I actually work full-time at Odell Brewing Company, so it's very easy to get grains from our pilot system there. So yeah, that's mainly where I get them. I try to keep it super local, and I only get small batches at a time. So I'll bring my 5-gallon bucket, fill it up for the amount of orders that I have, and then pretty much dispose of the rest. So. Do
you get them from any place else, or just where you work?
So I get them from Odell. I also get them from Rally King Brewing. They are off of Prospect and LeMay. And then I sometimes get from Intersect. Zwei is another great one in town.
Right.
So I try to, Max Line. I try to spread it out. We have so many breweries in Fort Collins.
There are quite a few.
So it's never a limiting resource, I can tell you that.
Well, that's a good thing. And they just share these with you? Do you have to buy them, or do they?
No, they pretty much just share them. Usually, actually, what happens with spent grains is a lot of breweries give them to farmers around town.
Okay.
They feed them to their cows, their pigs, their livestock.
Right.
So yeah, I can kind of bring my 5-gallon bucket, and Odell does so much beer. My 5-gallon bucket has no effect on Lugene
I'm
at
sure
all.
that's true, yeah.
So, I get them. I try to get them from everywhere. Community.
Awesome. Now you have different flavors
I do.
of your biscuit. What do you have now? What do you?
So actually we just released a new flavor, banana turmeric.
Banana turmeric.
Yes, and so actually there's no eggs in it, so it is a vegan treat.
Oh, very good.
Just for those dogs who are sensitive to chicken byproducts and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And all that's in there now is the banana, smashed banana, tablespoon of turmeric, and then the spent grains, coconut flour, and that's it.
Well, they sound like they're pretty tasty, just as they are. I know I've nibbled on one, and they were actually surprisingly good for a dog treat. I mean, not that I sit around and eat milk bones on a regular basis, but when you mentioned that they were, nothing in there that I wouldn't eat, I gave one a whirl, and yeah, they are very tasty. What other flavors do you have?
So we also have apple mint that helps with that stinky dog breath that, I'm very aware of with Titan, at least. He can clear a room.
Dog owners they're like, oh, I'm going to get some of those. My dog loves that flavor, by the way, so I'm very grateful.
Good.
Yes.
I'm very glad. Peanut butter, of course, is the main seller.
Sure.
Then we also have sweet potato, and pumpkin pie is our seasonal flavor as of right now. So
pumpkin pie. And you have seasonal flavors on and off throughout the year. What are some of the other seasonal flavors that you've done?
So around Mother's Day, we do kind of a beet and carrot, and it dyes the biscuits red naturally.
Yeah.
So we have a beet and carrot flavor, and then during the fall is my pumpkin pie kind of flavor.
Right.
So we're experimenting. We're trying to get some more out there. I'm thinking hopefully during the summer we could get like a red, white, and blue.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe strawberries, bananas, and blueberries in there.
Sure.
But, maybe that's down the road a little bit.
Yeah, I'm probably trying to figure out how to make them red, white, and blue would be interesting too.
Yeah, totally.
It's always fun experimenting going on.
It is fun, and like I get to hang out with my dog, and he gets to try my treats all day, and he's happy, I'm happy. So it's a great, little side business, and I enjoy it.
That's cool. That's really cool. Now, in your experimenting, you had to come across a couple of flavors that just dogs wouldn't like at all, but sounded like a good idea at the time. Do you have any of those, or have they all been hits?
The thing that I run into the most actually is the flavors that can't hold together in a treat. So I don't know how many times I've made a tray of biscuits and then I go and try to break them up and all of them just kind of turn into dust almost.
Right.
They just all fall apart. So I did have a flavor. I tried to do a beef berry, which I'm still experimenting with.
Yeah.
But I tried real blueberries in that, just the full frozen kind of blueberries with some beef broth and dehydrated them all the way, everything.
Yeah.
Went to go break them apart, and it was just a whole tray of grain. So
just back to dust.
So hopefully.
It could be peanut butter, beef broth, berry. We get into some really weird stuff.
Yeah.
we have to have that to get it
that
to stick together,
Yeah, exactly. You need like a something to get it to stick. So actually I'm thinking about blending the blueberries up and getting them to kind of be more of a sauce almost.
Yeah.
And then hopefully maybe I'll dye the biscuits like a purple or a blue color. You can get every color of the rainbow in here.
There you go. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing actually about the banana turmeric is the turmeric makes it this really pretty yellow color.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like bright and it just looks fresh.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, that's really cool. What else can you tell us about just the biscuits in general? As far as you mentioned a few of the health benefits and so forth. Is there anything else about them that really stands out?
Yeah, so, there are other spent grain biscuits out on the market. And, I looked into those a little bit and see how I could differ. And I noticed that most of them use like white enriched flour. So I actually went with the coconut flour. Coconut flour is actually great for their teeth as well as their coat. So it just adds those benefits right on. And then I try to use the freshest ingredients possible. So my sweet potato and pumpkin, I make the puree myself. No canning, no cans at all, anything like that. The mint I grow in my backyard for the apple mint flavor. I make my own applesauce as well.
Cool.
So again, I try to keep as fresh as possible as small batch as possible and as local. So.
Right. Very gourmet. They are very good. Our dog does get excited about them. So
Good. I'm
they
glad
really
to
like
hear
them. Yeah, yeah. And we appreciate you've done some events with us and so forth at the dog park, and I've gotten good compliments back from the people that walked away with some bags of those as well,
That's awesome.
and asking how they can get more and so forth. So it's actually a really good time to talk about our sponsor today, which is you. So thank you for sponsoring our podcast. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. You know, I appreciate your guys' support as well throughout the community, and you know, I can always count on you guys for sure. So you guys are great.
Well, thank you. And tell us a little bit about how we would go about getting your product. Where
Sure.
can they find it?
So I do sell at some of the breweries that I get the grains from. So Odell is definitely, we are in the tap room of Odell, as well as Rally King. I do sell at Feisty's Distillery as well. They are down Lincoln. And that's kind of it, actually. You can also find my biscuits online, caninecandybiscuits.com. I actually made a promo code for all of your listeners.
Oh, awesome.
So podcast, you'll get 15% off of your entire order. And then also if you live in Fort Collins or Loveland, you'll get free delivery as well.
Oh, I was just going to ask that. How do they round them up when they get them online? Did you ship them or?
So if they live outside the area, I'll ship them. But, you know, it seems like my business has stayed very local, which
Sure.
I very much enjoy.
Right.
I can give the attention that I can to my business. So
Right. That's fantastic. Now you support some charities and some nonprofits out there with some of the proceeds of them on a seasonal basis. What's that kind of look like?
yeah, so each season we actually changed up our program when it came to that. We had a rescue of the month that every month we give 10% of our proceeds to that rescue. But we found that, you know, in December versus January, those January rescues kind of got the short end of the stick a little bit, if you will.
Yeah.
So we actually turned it into a seasonal thing, which is awesome. So literally the first day of winter to the first day of spring, we are supporting Scroungy Dogs and Pretty Pups Rescue out of Loveland.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
They're pretty small, but they have tons of dogs available right now, and they are always willing to take donations and that kind of stuff too. So actually all of the in-between kind of ugly pieces that we can't sell, donate to that rescue.
Oh, I bet they really appreciate that.
Oh yeah. So, and they get bags of them. I'm sure it lasts them for years.
Right.
But yeah, so we give them all of those as well as that 10%. So
That's really nice. That's awesome. That is really cool. So what is the future of Canine Candy Biscuits? Where are you going from here?
You know, since I do work my 40-hour-a-week job and all of that, as of now, I'm comfortable supplying to the community, for sure. So Loveland and Fort Collins is kind of my home and where I want to stay. I don't know where 5 years, you know, where Canine Candy will be in 5 years. Hopefully we can expand a little bit, maybe get down to some breweries in Denver. But for now, we're kind of happy where we're at. And we love Fort Collins. We love...
Everybody loves Fort Collins.
Yeah. And
It's
the
where I
brewery
grew
scene,
up, so I have to say that. That's
well,
right.
and the brewing scene here is just such a community. You know, it's such a small base for such a large town. You know, the brewing industry is just so small and compact, and, you know, people love beer and dogs and hanging out, you know? So I do. I love to support this community. I love to get as involved as I can with the rescues in our community as well as the breweries. So
That's really cool. That's really cool. And you're right. It's definitely an area that is very dog friendly. And an area that's very beer friendly.
yeah.
I mean, we can certainly say it that way. There's a lot of breweries through here, so that's a good combo. There's no doubt.
So it was perfect, you know, again, when I was coming up with the product, it was just kind of a perfect match for me.
Sure.
So.
No, that's totally logical. That makes sense. So now you work a 40-hour job, but also have a small business on the side. That's got to create some challenges overall.
It is. It's very challenging. But, you know, that's kind of why I want to stay small and local is because I can put that effort in. You know, Odell, too, I work in the cellar, so I am constantly on my feet working with my body and my hands, dragging hoses around. And my schedule is ever rotating. So every month I'm on a new schedule. So it is very challenging. But Canine Candy is just something I enjoy so much that I do make time for it. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, there are times where it's like I get a 20-bag order from Odell, and I'm like, oh, man, I just want to sit and massage my feet today. But at the end of the day, it's just such a rewarding task, you know? Handing that check over to my rescues of the season is so rewarding, and dropping off those bags of biscuits to those rescues, it makes it all worth it.
It's always great to have passions along that line.
Totally. And that's where I want to keep it.
Right.
You know, I feel like if things do get overwhelming, you know, I'll fall out of that passion and fall out of that love with what I am doing. So I'm happy.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Again, Juliana with Canine Candy Biscuits. We really appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you, and the best of luck to the growth of your business in the future. And we're just glad you're staying local so that we can really enjoy your products.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And again, I appreciate all the support from you guys. And look forward to the future and what we can bring to the community.
Awesome. Thanks so much.